The air hits you before the doors finish opening. Thick, wet, 30 degrees at midnight, and you're standing outside Suvarnabhumi Airport with a backpack, a printout, and the specific hollowness of someone who has recently stopped pretending. The printout is directions to a monastery in Ubon Ratchathani province. The backpack holds 4 changes of clothes you won't be wearing for long. The hollowness you brought from home, and it is the one thing you packed that fits perfectly. 18 months ago, you had the full set: career, fiancé, a company you helped build from a shared office with bad Wi-Fi into something with real employees and a real logo. Then your father died on a Tuesday while you were in a meeting you cannot now remember the purpose of. Then the company restructured around a funding round that didn't include you. Then she left quietly, with the particular kindness of someone who has been deciding for a while and just needed you to stop making it harder. You spent 6 months reading books about impermanence and downloading meditation apps and telling yourself you were processing. You weren't processing. You were waiting to feel like a person again. The taxi to the bus station is cold from the AC. Outside, the highway is a river of amber light. You press your forehead against the glass and your reflection stares back, still wearing the face of the man you came here to bury. Wat Pa Nanachat sits at the edge of a forest in Ubon Ratchathani, a Theravada monastery established in 1975 specifically for Western practitioners under the Thai forest tradition. You found it through a forum thread titled "Has anyone actually ordained and stayed? Real experiences only." The replies range from life-changing to "that place will finish you." The man who gave you the contact name said both in the same sentence, like it was a recommendation. The wake-up bell rings at 3 a.m., not a gentle chime. A brass bell struck with intention, and the sound travels through the wooden walls of the kuti like a blunt instrument. You rise in darkness, wrap 9 feet of saffron cotton around your body in a configuration that took 11 days to learn, and join the procession to the sela for chanting. The words are Pali. You don't speak Pali. You match the sounds by rote, a human recording of something you don't yet understand, and the monks on either side of you don't look over to check. 1 meal a day, eaten before noon from whatever the alms around produces. Afternoons, walking meditation on a packed dirt path between sala and forest. Your feet bare on laterite that opens the skin on day 2 and hardens it by day 12. Evenings, sitting practice, the low hum of insects outside, the smell of incense and old teak, and something underneath, both that you can't name yet. You ask the senior monk, Ajahn Siripano, how long it takes to make real progress. He is a lean man with a face that has stopped being young without ever becoming old, and he looks at you for a long, unhurried moment before responding. "Where exactly were you planning to go?" he says. He doesn't wait for an answer. You stand in the courtyard holding the question like something you picked up by accident and can't find a place to set down. The silence is not what you expected. The external silence is total. No phone, no inbox, no ambient noise of a life requiring management. But the internal volume climbs steadily from the moment the distractions disappear, the way a refrigerator hum becomes deafening the second it stops. By week 3, you are sitting for 2-hour sessions and spending the entire duration mentally composing lists. Things you regret, people you wronged, the exact wording of the last argument with your father over a phone call in December, 2 months before he died. Your brain, denied its usual diet of stimulus, turns on itself with the focused appetite of something starving. This, you will eventually learn, is also the teaching. You don't learn it yet. A Dutch former banker 2 weeks ahead of you in the ordination process disrobes quietly on a Wednesday. His robe is folded on his sleeping mat by morning. His sandals are gone. The monks treat his absence the way they treat weather. It passed. You tell yourself you are different. You are committed. You mistake exhaustion for steadiness and call it progress. The monastery runs on merit, the Buddhist concept of moral credit accrued through generosity and right intention. The lay families who bring rice at dawn, the young Thai men ordaining temporarily as cultural rite, the foreign donors funding the sala renovation, all of it participates in an economy of reciprocal obligation that is older than the institution by centuries. A Western documentary filmmaker visits and asks the abbot whether the monastery's global spread risks diluting its authenticity. The abbot answers in Thai. Ajahn Siripano translates later without editorializing. The tree does not ask whether its roots are authentic. A message arrives through the monastery's landline. Your former business partner needs a signature on dissolution papers. 72 hours to respond, or the default proceeds. You sit with it for 6 hours, you don't call. Whatever is left of that architecture, you let it go the way you let a breath go. Not dramatically, not heroically, just because holding it is more work than releasing it, and you are very tired of working. Something real begins in month 3. You notice it first in a morning sit, a gap, brief and ordinary, where the noise doesn't stop, but you stop fighting it. 4 seconds of something the books called bare attention, the mind resting on the present moment without adding commentary. It is the most unremarkable experience of your life. You feel briefly, stupidly grateful. Then you make the mistake of telling Ajahn Siripano. He listens. Then, now you are attached to 4 seconds. He walks away. You stand in the courtyard with your insight and no one to show it to. And somewhere in that absurdity is a lesson you are still too proud to receive cleanly. The ego you discover does not dissolve. It ordains. It learns the vocabulary of non-attachment and uses it to construct a more sophisticated version of itself. There is a term for this among long-term practitioners, Dhamma disease, the spiritual pride that wears the language of liberation as a costume. You catch yourself writing a letter to no one, describing your deepening practice, noting the emergence of non-attachment. You are performing enlightenment for an imaginary audience. You fold the letter and burn it in the kitchen fire and feel briefly like you've done something humble. This is also Dhamma disease. The letter from your former fiancée arrives in month 4. She is getting married. She wanted you to hear it from her. She says she hopes you found what you were looking for. She means it. That is the worst part. Not malice, not cruelty, just the clean, uncomplicated kindness of someone who has moved on and wants you to also. You sit with it for 11 days in formal practice, watching what it does to the body. The grief is not theatrical. It settles in the sternum like river stone, dense and cold, and then, without ceremony, without resolution, it becomes lighter. Not because anything is fixed, because impermanence stopped being a concept and happened in real time to something you were actually holding. The stone is still there. It's just smaller. You cannot tell if this is healing or acceptance, and you are beginning to suspect they are the same word. At the end of month 3, Ajahn Siripano calls you in. Your commitment is complete, he says. You may disrobe if you choose. There's also a path to full ordination, a longer vow structure, a different life entirely. He will not advise you either way. That is not, he explains, what a teacher does. You have been waiting, you realize, since the morning you arrived, for someone to tell you what to do next. The abbot will not do it. The silence will not do it. The tradition will not do it. The decision sits in front of you like a locked room, and you are the only one holding the key, and you have been the only one holding it the entire time, and this is the revelation you flew 9,000 kilometers to avoid. You go to the temple at 2 a.m., not for scheduled practice, just because the silence is different at that hour, heavier, more honest. You sit in front of the Buddha image in candlelight that makes the gold leaf look like something breathing. You wait for clarity. What comes instead is a memory. Your father in a parking lot teaching you to drive, laughing when you stalled the engine, saying again without any impatience in his voice. That's all. No lesson, no closure, no cosmic punctuation, just a man in a parking lot laughing. You sit with it until the 3 a.m. bell and let it be exactly what it is. You disrobe. The ceremony is brief and dignified. Formal acknowledgement before the Sangha, the reversal of vows, the 9 feet of saffron cotton folded with the technique that took you 11 days and now takes you 40 seconds. You look at yourself in the office bathroom mirror before leaving, the only full-length mirror on the property. Lay clothes, thinner face, a quietness around the eyes that wasn't there before. Not fixed, not enlightened, not the man who landed at Suvarnabhumi. Something without a clean name that doesn't require one. Ajahn Siripano walks with you toward the gate, unhurried, heading to the garden. He says, "You came to become a monk. You became a person who sat still long enough to meet himself. These are not the same achievement, but the second one is harder." He turns toward the garden. You walk through the gate. 3 weeks later, you're in a sublet apartment in a city you're not sure you belong to anymore, and your mother calls. Routine check-in. Halfway through, she goes quiet for a second and says, "You sound different. You sound like your father used to sound when he'd finally stopped trying to explain himself." You don't answer right away. Outside the window, traffic moves in the dark. The ceiling fan turns. Your phone has 400 unread messages and you let them wait. You gave up everything to erase yourself. You shaved your head, wrapped yourself in saffron, followed 227 rules, sat through 340 hours of silence, and surrendered every possession and comfort and habit that told you who you were. And what you came home with was your voice, not your voice, the thing underneath it, the part that stopped justifying itself. The monastery didn't transform you, it just held still long enough for you to catch up with yourself. Every year, thousands of people from every corner of the world travel to Thai monasteries to ordain, some for weeks, some for the rest of their lives, most returning changed in ways they can't explain, carrying something that doesn't fit back into the life they left. If you want to see more, click the video on screen now.